Hey guys, Dylan from Noble Records coming at you with the annual vinyl tag. Late this year. I usually try to do it in December, but just been a crazy busy holiday season. Have not had a chance to do it, and now I'm probably too late. But throwing it in there, doing it. I've not missed a year since the beginning of my channel. I'm not going to start now. But if you're new to this type of thing, there's a whole community of people that make records called the vinyl community. I'm sure you know all about it. But somebody makes a list every year of the official questionnaire that everybody does one. Well, I mean, a lot of people do them. Not everybody does them. But anyways, I always do it because it's a good chance to connect with other people. It's fun to see what their answers are, them to see what your answers are. And it also makes me usually think outside the box. This list was made by David Atkinson. There's a lot of stuff on here that I would never even imagine to put on my list. It's just different. It made my brain bend in a different way, which is good. But it's just some of these, and you always you'll see throughout the course of the video, you always change a couple because you're like, I'm not going to answer this or whatever. So there's a couple of these that are different or unconventional that don't really apply to me, so I changed them. All right, starting off, number one is the best purchase of 2025. That one, I had to think about. I had a lot of really good purchases of 2025. If you look back at my best finds of 2025 video that I did, I found some amazing stuff this past year, to the point where I'm probably not going to buy any records for a long time. But this is the one that I would think I'd choose for my best purchase. This is called Stack Above All. Look at how reflective that cover is. But anyway, this is a kind of a really hard plastic protective cover. Just because anything that I have that is a super valuable record, super rare, I do have kids, so I try to keep these things protected. So that's what this is. But this Stack Above All, when it came up for sale, and there's a guy I was dealing with that was trying to sell it. It was expensive for a record for sure, But this is one of those. It's a psych record. It's amazing. There's supposedly only 20 copies were made. But the more I think about it throughout the year, I got a really good deal on this record for what it is, I think. And the more collectors I've talked to about it have said, I've looked my whole life, I've never seen one, all that type of stuff. So it's one of those things. I think it's the best because I think it was a really good opportunity to get one, just because who knows when another one will come along. And then also I think it was a good deal for what it is. I know what I paid for it, and I've talked to other collectors, and some of them have said it's worth 3 times that. So it's in great shape. It's an original first press, only 20 copies worldwide. So it's an amazing record. I pull it out and listen to it all the time. I've listened to it probably 20-30 times this year. Just love, and I probably have only had it half the year. It's an amazing record. I still pull it out and spin it very, very regularly. But that's probably my best purchase of the year. Number 2 is share your favorite live musical experience of 2025. Listen, I did not go to any concerts in 2025. I know. But there's concert people and there's record people, and there's usually the same people that collect records and go to concerts. And a lot of people are like, how can you own a record store and not go see live music and all that stuff? And I think I've talked about this in videos before, but I just don't like it anymore. When I was a kid, I loved going to see bands. I mean, I probably went to see 2 or 3 concerts every week for years. And I saw everybody that was going around, and I don't enjoy being smushed together with a bunch of drunk folks. That's just not my life anymore. I don't drink. I don't do any substances. I don't really like to be around a bunch of that. I'm a dad. I got 2 kids. They got bedtime. I just don't. It's just not my life. It's not conducive to how I live my life anymore. So I just don't go out to anything like that. It doesn't happen. I wish that I did, but I hadn't done it for 10 years. I hadn't gone to any concerts. And then maybe 2 years ago, I was like, you know what? I own a record store. I should be going out to concerts. And I went out to a handful, and I was like, man, who am I kidding? I don't like this. I don't enjoy the walking 10 miles of the venue and all this stuff. If I did enjoy a concert, I did go to one that was it wasn't super small, but there was maybe 100 people there. It was not a huge thing. It was just a hole in the wall thing. It was a band called Post Animal. It was like a psych rock band. And I saw them in Asheville, and it was just kind of a one-off thing, and I enjoyed it because it wasn't crazy, you know. And so, like, I'd like to see Steven's band. Steven that works at the shop, he has a band named Wretched. I saw him like way back in the day, like 20 years ago, but I'd like to see him now. So, anyways, haven't seen any. But just to answer the question, this past year I have tried to pick up the fiddle a little. I have a whole past life of playing music. And as the years go on and I get more busy, I have not played the past 10 years like I should. Obviously still can, but I need to practice. You know what I mean? I need to get back into the practice of it. So I've gotten to, especially the past maybe 6 months, you know how like smartphones, you have a smartphone, you'll kind of noodle on them. If you're like, you don't have anything to do, you're bored, you start noodling on your smartphone. I don't do that. Anytime I want to noodle on something, I noodle on this bad boy. So anyways, my favorite live experience is with me and my sons playing music together, them enjoying that, me enjoying that. Me and my wife, we play music sometimes together just for fun. So that's live for you. That's real live. That's indie. Number 3, your vinyl record collection in 10 years' time. It says, what's your vinyl collection going to look like in 10 years' time? Bigger, smaller, or about the same? Explain why. Listen, I think about this all the time. My room here, the walls are closing in already. I moved into this house like 3 years ago, something like that. And I was like, man, this is so much space. I don't know. How am I ever going to fill it up? And I've already filled it up. It's already a problem. So I need to, I'm purging a ton of stuff right now. I have some huge plans for the shop. I can't announce it yet, but it's going to be really expensive, a huge thing just for our brick and mortar store that we're doing. And so I'm starting to purge a bunch of stuff from my personal collection to kind of help finance that. So if you're on Whatnot, next couple weeks I'm purging some stuff from my collection. You might want to get on there. I'll put the link in the description of this video. That's not what this is about. I'm just mentioning. So I'm always in the process of purging and getting more and purging and getting more. And we all try to live by the one in, one out rule, but who does that? With the Voice of America, that happened last year, and I have gotten so many records from that. It's been kind of ridiculous, but here's the long-term plans. I have these shelves, which they're IKEA shelves, and people make fun of me about that. They're like, you have these records that are so rare and expensive, but then you still use an IKEA shelf. Like, yeah, I do still use an IKEA shelf because it's the convenience. And really, I would love to find somebody that would help me build custom shelves, but and that's going to happen. Like, that's kind of something I would love to do. Maybe not this year, but in the near future. But build shelves all the way up to the ceiling. And I'd like to get rid of all these box sets just because, I'm going to continue to collect and try to continue to collect really cool things that are library, not necessarily library records, but just have a good library of stuff from all genres, for my family to enjoy for years to come. So I'd like to consolidate the space in the room a little bit better because I don't want to have my collection out into the house. I want this to be the music room. And it's a pretty big room. It's not, but every single surface on the outside edge has shelves and they're all full. So I need to consolidate it better. So if I can build shelves from the floor to the ceiling, like custom built, built-in shelves, that is my long-term plan. And so, and to also just kind of weed out the stuff that I don't listen to as much to prepare for things that come in that I will listen to. So that's always the goal. It'll probably be bigger, but more consolidated. You know what I mean? I think in my room, in my collection, I really don't think, in my opinion, it's all killer, no filler. There's no sleepers in here. Nothing like, if there is a Styx record in here, which I do have a Styx record, it's because I like it. You know what I mean? So anyways, there's not a lot, whatever. Number 4, you move into a new home. You play one record turned up to 11 to announce your arrival. What is it and why? Listen, I didn't have to think too hard about this one. Y'all wouldn't have to think too hard about this one either. This is my RL Zeppelin 2. My Near Mint RL Zeppelin 2. Blow the roof off. That's if I move into a new home, but I'm not moving into any new homes anytime soon. Show 2 albums, one each for your favorite male and female singers. Why? Again, I don't think too much about these questions. Just the first thing that pops in my head. I can't, agonize too much over the answers. But first one that popped in my head was Otis Redding. This is the cleanest copy of Otis Blue that I've ever found, and it's like a near mint, beautiful copy. Just something about his voice. I'm not saying he's got the widest range or anything like that. Just the feeling that he has in his voice is just transformative. I don't know. It's absolutely amazing. Just from a vocal performance, this is probably not an uncommon answer. It just is amazing. I tried to think of female singers, and I do like Stevie Nicks, and there's a lot of other female singers that I really, really do like. But the more I think about it, and I really love Adele, amazing vocalist, really amazing. I know that's kind of in the vinyl community, Adele's kind of like a mockery because she made a bajillion of her records and they were in Walmart all the time. But as a musician, she's absolutely phenomenal. Or as a vocalist, she's phenomenal. But anyways, really. But when I think about there's an artistry to Stevie Nicks that goes beyond her vocal abilities. I wouldn't say she's the most incredible vocalist, but she's an amazing artist and her vocals are dynamite. Ann Peebles, kind of the same with Otis Redding, I guess. There's so much feeling in her voice. I love this record. Straight from the Heart is an amazing, amazing record. Found this a few years ago, man. I remember the collection I bought it in, and for some reason I saw that cover and I was like, man, that album looks amazing. And I took it home and listened to it and just... But, if you haven't heard Ann Peebles, Straight from the Heart, this is a great, great record. It's been reissued. It's a really good one. So this one, I almost skipped this question. This one is top 3 soul dance records. I'm not really a big dancer. I don't know if you can see me dancing. It don't happen much. If it does, no one's watching. You know what I mean? That type of thing. But I do have some stuff that I really like. I have the common stuff. The dance, boogie, funk type stuff. But who are we kidding? I'm going to show you some rare stuff. This is Rupa Disco Jazz. This is an original press. Absolutely amazing, amazing stuff. This has a dance, disco, funk. It is really, really killer. This is the North Carolina shout out, the Brief Encounter boogie funk from these neck of the woods. Amazing, amazing record. And then this is Soul Expedition from the Atlanta area. This is a group of guys that were a church band. They played in a church, and the pastor bankrolled them to make this record. And it's not a church record. It is a funky funker. So, that's a great one. All super rare. Whatever. Who cares? So that's number 7 is it says a real stinker. Nominate a track from a track you hate from an album you love. Why the hate? I have a different opinion about stuff like this. I really don't hate anything. I know it sounds pretentious for me to say that. But if I listen to my favorite artist, or just an album I like, and there's a song comes on that I don't particularly, as the young kids say, vibe with, I try to think about from the artist's perspective, why they made those choices or whatever, and it's never I don't understand why they did that. For me, it's just okay, that's cool. That's an expression of what they were doing. The way I listen to an album is I'm walking into their house and I'm seeing what they have to offer. You know what I mean? And who am I to say, this sucks, this ain't art, or whatever? That's what they wanted to do with it. Let them do it, and then if you don't like it, let it roll off your back and keep going. I just don't... Sure, there are tracks I skip. Maybe that's just what it's saying. But, when you're listening to Creed Weathered, there's no skippable tracks, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, I take it in stride, and I don't think, man, I hate this song. Why'd they put this on this album? That doesn't really enter my mind, so I'm skipping that one. That's just my opinion. If you had to pick only one album from each of the last 6 decades, what would they be? Listen, I hated this question because I don't have to pick just one. Clearly, it's hard to even think about which ones I would pick because I have my favorites and then I have ones that I think are significant. And then I think, well, I should pick a double album because if I'm going to have to listen to this one the rest of my freaking life, I would rather have more to listen to. So it's just impossible to choose. So I didn't think about it too much. One of the most significant ones for me that I love, and it's one of my favorite albums, is the White Album. This is a recent copy that I got that is super sick. One of my faithful viewers knew that I collect stuff like this, and he offered it to me for sale. But someone painted this thing. It is absolutely gnarly. Love this. You got to see this. Part of the reason I chose this one is because of this. Look at the inner gatefold. They did like a collage. They cut up the poster and like pasted like each picture in there. It's super cool. I love White Albums like this that people drew on or painted on or whatever. I love it. But anyways, I just love the White Album. It's one of my favorites, but also one of the most significant. 70s, I'd probably pick Physical Graffiti. This is like some weird Russian pressing on Susie Records. But anyways, it's the double LP. It's a volume. But like as far as like Zeppelin's, people are gonna get mad at me for saying this. This is not my favorite Zeppelin record. I think this is the best Zeppelin record. There's the most good songs on this record. You know what I mean? This is an amazing album, in my opinion. So we got 80s. I have a lot of albums from the 80s, but as far as like ones that I really, really love, I know I'm getting the tail end, but Bleach. This is an original press on black vinyl, but still. And then from the 90s, I love Bad Motorfinger. This is an original press on gold or orange or whatever you want to call it. Love this record. We're talking 2000s. This record, man. Damien Rice. Oh, talk about a departure from the rest of the list. I love this album. I've listened to this album thousands and thousands of times. It's one of my absolute favorites. Haven't listened to it in a while, actually, but I need to. Every once in a while, I'll listen to it and just kind of go down the rabbit hole of like Damien Rice and like Glenn Hansard and the Frames and stuff like that. But this album really inspired me when I was like picking up guitar and learning to play stuff like acoustic and write songs and stuff like that. Amazing, amazing, amazing record. And then the 2010s, I would pick this. This is Atlas by Sleeping at Last. I have a really long history with this record. It's really important to me. I love it. It's like ambient type stuff. Sleeping at Last is this guy that like he makes this incredible emotional, deep, contextual, like beautiful music in my opinion. I love it. But my kids love this. We listen to it as a family all the time. Like one of my sons, every night at bedtime we push play on it and he listens to it to fall asleep. And so like at the end of the year, all my streaming services, my number one artist is always Sleeping at Last. But I do love it, but the whole family loves it. And like 2010s, I probably could have made another choice. I don't know, but that was just the obvious one for me. And that's like a box set too, so you got a lot of content, as the kids say. You get the opportunity to spend a day alone with one artist, walking a mountain trail, the beach, or hanging in the city. What would be that artist? I think it will be obvious to you guys to guess what my artist would be if you watch this channel. It would be Townes Van Zandt, for sure. No questions asked. That was the first thing that popped in my head. It just would be. I feel such a deep connection to his music. He died in, like, I think 97. But his songwriting, I don't know what it is. I'm not saying he's the greatest songwriter ever. He's definitely up there. But to me, his songs just mean so much to me. And I feel like so many of them were, like, written for me. You know, it's one of those things. Really, really deep. But if I could spend time with somebody and try to figure him out, dude. I mean, his brain... I think I know how it would go. I think I'd be very disappointed. I think he would just be like, whatever, you know, like, cause he just crapped those songs out probably and didn't think that much about him. But for me, I would try to figure him out and like get an understanding of what his life is really like. And then number 10, it says, what would be your must ask question? And I think that means like, what was the question that you would have to ask that person? And it would be like, I would try to figure out if a regular person could write that music. You know what I mean? Like, do you think the way that your life has gone, like he has a really crazy life story where like he was really a misbehaved teenager and his parents sent him to a psychiatric ward and they did like insulin shock therapy on him. And like when he left, I think he was like 18 years old when he got out of the institution. He couldn't remember he didn't have any memories. Like from then to his like whole life, he didn't know who his mother was, you know? And so he had to pick up his life from then and start over. And he just had a really tough life, you know, substance abuse, all that stuff. I don't know if you could write music like that if you didn't live a life that way. You know what I mean? So that would kind of be the question that I would ask for him. But anyways, don't get me down the Townes Van Zandt rabbit hole. I'll be talking for hours. All right, show an album with a track that always brings a tear to your eye. This is the first one I thought of. This is Steven Wilson Jr., Son of Dad. I've talked about this in a couple other videos. I just want people to go listen to this record. It is so freaking good. He came out with this box set. There's two different versions of this record. There's like a 3 LP and this is like a 4 LP. It's a massive, you know... Steven Wilson Jr. has an amazing story also. But he is a phenomenal songwriter. In my opinion, he's the best songwriter that is doing it right now. Like his music is another one. Like I feel like these songs are written for me. Like when I listen to them, I can feel, it's like not even that I can hear them, I can feel them. You know, he talks about like growing up in the 90s and like, you know, stuff like a lot of this, you know, it's called Son of Dad. A lot of it has to do with his relationship with his dad. But like for me, I see it from both ends of the spectrum. Like my relationship with my dad, you know, I love my dad to death. We've had our differences over the years, but he's my dad. I have a lot of good memories with him, you know. And then I also see it from my relationships with my sons and how they're viewing me now and how I view my dad when I was their age. Like it's just like this crazy. It's so deep, and every time I listen to songs, like it hits me so hard. I just think everybody should listen to this record. It's a long record. The first couple songs, like I think he did a version of Stand By Me, which is, that one kind of grew on me the first time I heard it. I was like, everybody's freaking out of this. I don't get it. And like the 10th time I heard it, I was like, this is amazing. So, but his song, I Am a Song, is an incredible song. That one, this video is going to be too long. I don't care. That song, I heard him talking about on a podcast. His dad was passing away. He had become a scientist. Like he was doing like he was working for some dog food company, inventing like different types of dog food. But he had gone to school and he was like a scientist. He had a degree for it and everything. And he kind of like passively wrote songs and would kind of perform them locally at the, you know, a bar or something. And his dad had heard him play the song I Am a Song and had recorded it on his like old cell phone, like one of those old flip phones. And his dad, like he didn't know it, but his dad was listening to that song every day. And then like right before his dad died, his dad told him like, that's my favorite song I've ever heard in my life. That's my favorite one. And then his dad kind of unexpectedly had some sort of health, I can't remember what the issue was, but had a health problem. And his dad was on his deathbed and he couldn't make it to his dad's deathbed. He was across the country. And he was driving, trying to get there. And his dad called him and just said, hey, write a song for me. And so he quit his job and became a songwriter just to honor his dad's last wish. It's amazing. But anyways, I Am a Song. The first time I heard that song, I cried, and I still sometimes cry. It is so good, but the songwriting makes you feel like you are in it, and it's so deep, but also so simple. Anyways, it's amazing. This Son of Dad, Steven Wilson Jr. I've talked about it. I've ranted and raved about it. Please go listen to that record. Next one is show 3 albums from an artist that you've tried to love, but you're questioning yourself why you bother. I don't do that. I wouldn't have 3 albums that I didn't like, so I'm not going to do that question. There are some artists that I passively like. One coming to mind would be Fish. I don't get it, why people worship them, But I do get that they're good, and I enjoy their music. I don't understand like why people are that nuts about them. That'd be the closest I have to it. And I have a few Fish albums, but I do like them. Like if I'm listening to jam rock, I mean, I'll pull them out and listen to them. But I've tried to like Kiss. I don't like them. It's just not my thing. So I don't have any Kiss records. I'm not gonna waste space on records I don't like. Number 13, show an album from an artist whose character disappoints you, or you can separate an artist from the art. Or can you separate the artist from the artist? So this is saying an album from somebody that you don't agree with their personal life, but you still have their, you could separate the art from the artist or whatever. Listen, I've had this debate with some of the people. I had a guy walk in the shop the other day, and he bought an album. I won't say what it is, but the artist, he felt like he had to say like, hey, I can separate the art from the artist. And I just said to him, like, that's what I always say. If we had to stop listening to artists that had questionable character, we would have nothing to listen to. Because you think about like how many incredible artists there have been that have terrible character. It's just the way it is. But to not get political or anything like that, let's just say I like this record. The music is beautiful. Charles Manson. This is an original press on Awareness Records. I love this record. The songs are beautiful. He was a great songwriter. He was also the worst. So do with that what you will. That's an obvious answer of like, obviously I don't agree with his life choices. But hey, he writes a good song. Number 14, if you had to sell all your vinyl along with your record player, show one album that you would hold as a keepsake. This is Sound Company. Our label is reissuing this. I'm working as hard as I can on it. People are like, what's taking so long? Obviously, you've never reissued a record before. It is really hard to do. This was just an acetate. So their recordings was one acetate and then a master tape from a studio. And I had to get all that stuff together. I had to get it all mastered and all to sound the same. And then I had to create all the artwork. There was never any artwork, all that stuff. So it's taken a while. But we will see this reissue this year, probably within the next 6 months. But it's an amazing, super heavy rock. But I've gotten to know Kenny, who's in the band. He's become a good friend of mine, the drummer. Just a really sweet guy. And I've just had a lot of time with this. And I would keep this as a keepsake because I've never listened to this record before. It's an acetate. So every time you listen to it, the sound, it degrades the sound quality every time you listen to it. So you're supposed to only listen to these like 10 times and then throw them away. I'm obviously never going to throw it away. I don't know how many times it's been listened to. But I bought it, and then I immediately sent it to my mastering engineer, and then he recorded the audio off of it. And so we have the mix, we have everything. Once the album comes out, I will listen to this one time. Just to know that the audio's good, everything's right. Then I will put this on the turntable when no one's at home, and I will crank it, and I will listen to this for just one time just to do it. But this is just one. I don't listen to it, but it is an incredible, super heavy rock acetate. So number 15 is discuss your VC highlight of 2025. If it's a video, a link to it, but you could, say a meetup or event. That's hard to say. Like, I think the VCs, this real cliquey vinyl community, whatever. And some people are real lighthearted about it. Some people are real strict about it. I was kicked out of the VC years ago. But a lot of people still consider me in it, I guess. I don't really know that I'm part of the VC. I love records. I talk about records, and I own a record store. I think owning a record store kicks me out of it. But anyways, regardless, I've met a lot of people in the VC that I really like. There's a few people. Oh, that's not this question. That's a further down question. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but my favorite part of the VC, my favorite video I made this year, this is where I'm going to go with this, is my Voice of America video I made it's called The Best Collection I Ever Bought. That video should have gone viral. It was I'm not saying the video was good. I'm just saying the content of what happened. That was one of the craziest things that's ever happened to me in my life. As far as record collecting goes and running a record store and all that stuff, that was an absolutely, like, no joke, a historic event. So that was an incredible video just because of what it was. I'm not saying that I make great videos. I'm just saying for what it was. But as far as like other VC stuff, like I love just the day-to-day stuff. Like, I don't watch a ton of record-related videos because I kind of have to conserve my energy towards that stuff because I own a shop and I get burned out on it a little bit. So, but I just love, folks that are in the VC just like wholeheartedly showing records they love, hoping that other people listen to them. Like I love that. So I don't even know if I answered that question, but whatever. Number 16, name your favorite musical biopic, and if you have one. I really like Walk the Line. I recently watched Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan one. I really liked it. I know there's been some very harsh criticism towards the movie and how it's not as accurate or whatever. No biopic is, I think the same guy that made Walk the Line made Complete Unknown, but man, I just loved it, man. I just watching it, and I think it was done really well. I think the actors and stuff they chose was really good. But I'm not like a real critic. You know what I mean? I'll watch something and I either like it or I really like it. I don't ever like that sucked. I can count on one hand the amount of movies I've watched where I'm like, man, that sucked. Number 17. Give 3 reasons why jazz matters and show your favorite album. I don't know if I'll give you 3, but this is my favorite jazz album I've said in the past. This is Soul Station, Hank Mobley. I love this record. Jazz matters. It matters if it matters to you. It mattered to the guys that were playing it. It matters to a lot of people. Jazz matters because people like it. People love it. It stirs something inside them. It's a cultural phenomenon. It's jazz is a really beautiful thing. Probably 10 years ago when I was just collecting rock stuff, it was in my peripheral, the jazz stuff was, and I thought it was really interesting. I took a jazz course in college. I learned some about jazz, half the time the professor was a jazz musician. He was talking about it, but then half the time he would be hungover or whatever, because he probably wasn't hungover, but he would be playing in clubs really late the night before or whatever. So he'd just throw on Kid Burns' jazz documentary and we'd watch that. But learned a lot about jazz in college and kind of developed an appreciation for it, but didn't really directly collect it. And over the past probably 5 years, I've really gotten heavily into collecting it. It's just a really beautiful genre. There's a lot there, and it's also not. There's a lot of rabbit holes you can go down into, but if you want to stay like on the straight and narrow, there's a lot of really good straightforward like hard bop jazz. It's really great, but it's one of those genres you can surface, you can collect on the surface, you can get really deep, just like classic rock. There's a lot of great stuff about jazz. You're an innocent man or woman on death row. What if you're guilty? I'm not. They give you one last musical request. What do you ask for? I love this question. All right. Hold on. So, I would ask for a guitar to sing my own song. Like Johnny Cash or something, I did think about this. What song I would choose. And I don't know what song I would choose. But a good choice would be this one. But that is what you call 10 out of 10 bleed out track. Number 19 is sell your favorite artist to a new listener. Show your favorite album and explain why they should make time for it. I already did with this Son of Dad. Now listen, Led Zeppelin's my favorite artist. I'm not selling anybody on Led Zeppelin. Everybody's heard Led Zeppelin. You either like him or you don't. This is, he's on the newer side. Steven Wilson Jr., please go listen to that. I already made a rant about it. You can go back and rewind if you want to hear it again. Number 20, you're arranging a VC meetup in 2026. Excluding those you've already met, invite 3 people you'd most like to meet. Listen, I've met a lot of famous VCers. Met Mazzy multiple times, I would say. I've met Mazzy more than once. I've met him in Austin, and I met him in LA. I've met a bunch of folks. I'll tell you who I haven't met. Matt Sands. I haven't met Matt Sands. I haven't met the psych professor. I haven't met Billy Hurst. I haven't met all those guys in the St. Louis area. There will be a time that I go to St. Louis and I meet all those mother truckers and we have a major hangout session. But I don't know. I'll meet anybody, anywhere, anytime. I love people. So, hope you guys enjoyed this. It's very likely that you didn't. But if you made it this far, I guess you did. So thanks for watching. And we'll see you next year. Maybe it'll be even more of a train wreck than this one was.